You've still got cold?
Welcome to The Other Dimension with the team, Damon Penny, Ben Winfield, and Louisa Brown. We guide you through the supernatural, the occult, and the unexplained, answering questions that will make you question your grip of reality, with special guests guiding you through everything from demons to divination, cryptids to crystals, religion to skeptics. We explore in depth the true meaning of the unexplained. So strap in, kick back, and enjoy as we enter the other dimension.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, as you heard, Evie does have a cold. And she does have a tendency of breathing on everyone in this house. So next episode, if we're on and we have a cold, you know why. So today we have, as you can see on this side, our friend, the legend himself, Bob Antone from America. He's going to be here to answer your questions and tell us some brilliant stories from the other side of the pond. However, I'm going to hand you over to Lou as well because it's more fun.
Thanks.
It's all right. Just to put it clear, we did have a bit of a hiccup yesterday.
Well, yesterday was supposed to be my show, but during the week when I was trying to actually create the broadcast through StreamYard, it wouldn't let me. Would it?
Just been a weird.
So, for those who are expecting me to have a divination, I had a good one lined up. We'll do it next week. Hopefully StreamYard will play nice. So the competition that I said I would be doing yesterday, because it was the 1st of December, we're just going to do it today, later on in the show.
So no one's missing out.
Yes.
So we'll just say hello to everyone in the chat. So hello Natasha, hello Nico, hello Vonnie, and hello to the other people that are watching. Haven't commented. Guys, feel free to comment as always. What we got? M says hi to everyone. She is without internet because a tree broke the fire in the street.
Oh dear.
Oh, okay. So as long as she's watching, it's fine. Hi, so we're going to introduce this legend. The cameras. So, Bob, for those people that don't know who you are, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Bob Antone, and I live in North Bend, Washington. A lot of folks know this place as the real Twin Peaks. We're about 30 miles east of Seattle, and I've grown up with stories and tales from family members and community members. And my whole life, I've collected folklore, and my wife and I participate in various cultural activities. We also do paranormal research. So cursed and haunted locations, cryptids, and the like. How is that?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Pretty much sums up. We could go on for hours describing how cool Bob is, to be honest.
Oh,
but unfortunately, we don't have that long.
yeah, right.
So this to everyone. Bonnie's saying hi to everyone in the chat. So, Bob, what have you got for us tonight? Well, today in your case.
Well, when the snow falls and it becomes December, I often think about little people legends. And you probably noticed this wee man behind me. So when I was a little boy, I used to go to this restaurant in town in North Bend called the Tift House with my grandparents. And as I was sitting there eating, I would look up in the rafters and I saw these little elves. And all these years later, it was my birthday, my wife found out that the original elves that were up in the rafters that I used to look at when I was a little boy were available, and she bought them for my birthday. And that's one of them. There's about 6 of them. And so now I get to hang out with my little elves every day, all the time. So that's how I wanted to start my story. Yeah.
Starting up your own little Christmas shack.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so I love stories about little people, and we've collected a lot, and we've had some experiences. So recently, one of my relatives, who I will remain anonymous, describing, has some phenomenon happening in her house, and her husband has seen little 4 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot tall shadow beings. He'll come around the corner, and there they are, and then they whiz away. They also hear the sound of like crying or a woman's voice, and they go in that room, and there's no one there. And also, she's seen quite a few apparitions of these little people around. And so she's going to have someone come and investigate. She's very Catholic, so it's going to be kind of I guess, an exorcism. She's very disturbed by these beings in her case, so very interesting. I suggested that perhaps these apparitions are actually ancestors, because all over the earth, if you go back in time, human beings were smaller in stature, and oftentimes ancestors, spirits of the past, will show up, and they will be very short in stature, very much like 4 foot, 3 foot tall. You hear that all over the world, you know. So I was suggesting maybe just ask them to, to go outside, and maybe they're not welcome inside, but they can hang out outside, because maybe this was their land. Maybe this was a place where they lived, and they're just showing up, that kind of thing. So very interesting. What do you think of that? Have you ever heard of anything similar to that in Europe or where you're at?
We do have places like that in Europe. Ireland Ireland and UK being mainly for it, isn't it, really? The stories of the fairy folk and people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Iceland, again, there's evidence of them. Well, if you go out to Iceland and ask about it, they literally divert roads because they think they have this idea that
Mm-hmm.
more people live near places, so they will divert entire roads around them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's quite interesting. Just to say as well, for the guys and girls that are watching, if you have any questions for Anton, please feel free to fire them up. Don't know why I've just called you Anton. Sorry, Bob. I just called you by your last name.
That's all right. It's totally okay. Yeah, so it's interesting because I mentioned babies crying, like the sound of babies crying or a woman's voice. The other thing is knocking. They call them knockers. And I have some other stories about knocking, maybe halfway up a building where people are hearing knocking on the outside of their house. I've had some encounters which I can talk about. Recently, we got a phone call. I got a desperate phone call from a gentleman. He called me like 8 times, and he lives in the neighboring town of Snoqualmie. And he wanted to talk to me about something that was happening in his house. And he said that there's a place where they have an office space where they play music. They're musicians. And every time they're playing music, right above their head, there's a tapping, as if someone's up inside the attic. A knocking, a tapping. And it's always in the same spot. And so he went upstairs in the attic, and he looked in that exact bay, right where the tapping is happening. And there were no signs of rodents. None of the insulation was disturbed. There's no chance of any plumbing, like water hammers or anything like that. No utilities in this certain bay behind the drywall. And then as his wife was below, he recreated with his hand. He just kind of tapped on the drywall. And she said it sounded exactly what they've been hearing. So this is an example of the little people, the stick people, as we call them around this area in the Pacific Northwest. And they're known to knock and tap and go into little places and hide, and very, very interesting. So he was just desperate. And normally this gentleman does not believe in anything at all. He's kind of he just doesn't believe in anything supernatural. So it took a lot for him to call me, because normally he would just laugh at that kind of stuff. So this has been bothering him for weeks and weeks and weeks. And finally they just had to call me, and I just told him, hey, you've got a little spirit in your house. You've got a little stick person in your house, in your attic, and it's just the way it is. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got a question
with some comments.
Yeah.
Go back up to the top again.
Just got to catch up with loads.
We've got some comments. We've got this one.
I don't know if you can see that, Bob, or not.
Oh yeah,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
cool.
In Latin America, we call them duendes, and are known to be mischievous and steal socks, things like that.
We've got 2 demons that steal socks in this house.
They're puppies. But yeah, there's a similar thing over here, isn't there, with the Fae?
Yeah.
They like to come in and steal things.
Small town, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
wow.
very nice thing for small people.
Mm-hmm.
Jacko.
Yvonne. Hi, Bob. What signs would we look for to know they exist?
Oh,
Yeah.
What signs would you suggest?
What signs would I suggest? Yeah. So you mentioned stealing objects, moving objects around. That's very common. Like, your keys, that you just put them down on the table and suddenly you turn around, they're gone. And then the keys reappear, that kind of stuff. You've done that before. You've experienced that before, I'm sure. Maybe it was your fault though. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you're
would be
in the wrong place.
surprised. My bank cards and my keys disappear a hell of a lot.
Around here though, the knocking is a big one. So like out in the garage, one night I was out there, this was years ago, and all of a sudden I was in there with my son and a friend of mine, and all of a sudden around the perimeter of the garage you could hear knocking, and it was rapid, and it was in a clockwise motion. So clockwise knocking, so in the clockwise direction, that's a sign of the stick people or the little people. And the funny thing is, in the back of the garage, there was a lot of debris that's stacked up, and like lumber and debris. And there's no way a human being could run through that hallway and knock on the wall. There's just no physical way. And the knocking was appearing, at a certain level, about 4 feet up on the wall. And I know it was stuffed full of, lumber and wood. There's no way. So that knocking in a clockwise direction. And then I heard a little laughter. And it was interesting because that was the very moment that I had a cousin of mine who passed away, and the laughing sounded like his laugh. So a lot of times the little people, there's a dark side. They're connected to crossing over. They're connected to being like in living in a threshold between this world and the next world. A lot of these religions, especially the old one in this area, they would refer to dwarf-like beings that would guide them to the world of the dead or the other side, and they kind of live between worlds. So a lot of times these little people will show up when there is death, when there is, people are crossing over, that kind of thing. In this case, it was my cousin who passed away at that exact moment that I heard the knocking in the clockwise direction. And then I heard his laugh, and I go, oh, that's my cousin's laugh. Upon retrospect, I was like, that's so strange. It was almost like he visited one last time. So,
yeah. That's been known to happen quite a few places all over the world, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Got Jeanette saying hi.
Hi.
Jacko saying it's the borrowers.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jess. Another question. Would it be ferals, or do they behave in a different manner?
How would you answer that?
Ferals are what we class as would be classed as demonic creatures, but they're not. They're what you call they're shadow figures, basically, but they're more animalistic in their behavior.
Okay.
Yeah, about 4 foot, 5 foot. Yeah, anywhere from 4 foot to 5 foot they range. Yeah.
So very interesting. So there's this one ceremony that has occurred here for many, many years. And in that ceremony, there are little people that guide the spirit doctors, if you will, to the land of the dead. And they cross two rivers. And the land of the dead is located in the west. Very interesting. So the ocean for us to the west is the Pacific Ocean. And so these little dwarves are mentioned, and so it's the two rivers though. Have you ever heard? Obviously, in Greek and Roman mythology, you cross the two rivers to the underworld. That's very interesting. Here you have two rivers. We were talking about the Hmong traditions, and they have two rivers that you cross when you cross over this other dimension. And there's also little people, helpers, that kind of thing. Can you elaborate on anything European in that same vein? I'd love to hear about spirit helpers, little people.
Not just European, but the entirety of the ancient religion world basically has two rivers that you cross, and they have a collection of creatures that are referred to as the Watchers, the Keepers, Veil Guardians. Trying to think of other names, but they are said to be these little spirits that will come and help you cross. Then the only thing they're not mentioning is Egyptology, which no, they are mentioned in there. Yeah, sorry. When it comes to helping people across, but in Egyptology, they're more animal figures.
So regarding the two rivers, why do you think that is? Why is that universal? The two rivers, crossing two rivers. Any ideas?
It's to do with the different, because obviously, as we know, you have what's known as the veil.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, when you come into the more realms of cultology, you have the veil, and then you have the void. Now, the void would be the second river, because the veil is crossing from this world to the next world, and the crossing through the void is crossing back into life itself. Because everything was born. The ideology with every single religion is everything was born from chaos in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's supposed to be the void crossing over. So that's why you always get two rivers.
Do you ever get called to a home where people are experiencing little people, little shadow figures? Is that a common thing in your experience?
It's massively common in the UK. Massively common.
Interesting.
Most of Europe and stuff like that, it's really common.
Okay, let me ask you about the color of the eyes. Now, are there particular meanings associated in Europe for what color, if those eyes are colored? Yellow, say red, say blue, say green. I can tell you about ours, but is there anything in your experience specifying the significance of the eye color?
Red was classified as demonic. Yellow was classified as imps. Green were classified as woodland elementals. Blue were classified as water elementals. Whites were classed as air elementals. Orangey red was classed as fire elementals. The list just goes on and on and on.
Interesting. Okay, so over here, I had an experience where I was on this property and there was a little person, a little girl that was seen upstairs, and it was almost like a poltergeist phenomenon, and things were just tearing, and we were watching it. We were just watching this space up this stairwell, and things were just tearing around in this room, and this little girl with yellow eyes was seen. And so the explanation why this little person had yellow eyes in this case might be interesting to some folks is that she died of smallpox. And so she was a person that had died of smallpox. And so the yellow eyes was very specific to smallpox. So
yeah, I've heard that when it comes to people spirits, that the tint of the eyes can actually show what illness they died from as well. But we're just going to catch up with comments, Bob.
We've got quite a few.
Because we've got loads of them.
Yeah, so I've got one about the hidden people, and there's also an elf school. That'd be interesting. So, and she says her house must be full of little people, that more like grandchildren.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you make them interact with things like an EMF or EVPs?
I don't know. They're pretty temperamental, and you kind of have to show them respect. So like I know that in parts of Scandinavia, if you leave offerings out, food and offerings out to the tomt, I believe I'm saying that correctly,
Yeah.
TOMTE, that that little gentleman will take care of your livestock, will feed your animals, and protect your house, but you don't want to mess with them. So you got to be very careful, and that includes this area too. You just be very careful when you're speaking of these people, and not to offend them. You want to win their friendship, and if you win their friendship, they will protect you. They will look out for you. I think that's pretty much the same as the fairy folk. Am I correct?
Yeah. In the more of like the witchcraft world, there's a bit of a divide again about people who will work with the Fae and people who say, no, don't work with them, bad luck will come back on you and stuff. And the other
Oh,
people
okay.
are like, no, it's fine, you just got to show them respect, leave them offerings. And yeah, that's quite a big thing over here, like Ireland and the UK.
Over in Hawaii, you have the Minahune. I think I'm saying that correctly. I hope I am. And on the Big Island, there was a famous sighting. You can Google this, but back in I believe it was the 1950s, there were school children that came out for recess, and there were little people jumping around in their recess area, kind of in the brush there. The Minahune, yeah, that's Hawaiian little people. And again, that explanation is they are connected to the ancestors of the Hawaiian people. So, and yeah, it's pretty. I love that. I love that stuff. It's so interesting to me.
Just back to the questionnaire, when we do go out on investigations, we do have a little woodland sprite that joins us. And sometimes when other spirits aren't necessarily interacting, like you might see for those watching who watch Supernatural UK, sometimes the spirits at locations don't quite want to play. So this sprite, he likes things with a blue light on. So like they have got these robots and they have got a blue light on them, and he does find them lots of fun to play with, which is quite amusing to watch, isn't it? Because he'll just go charging up and down with them.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, there's no denying it's real. I mean, I believe strongly. What's the other question? Sunsets in the west makes sense to cross over to those. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I also think that the constant flow of the water has to have some meanings in those things. Yeah. People say that they encounter small beings while on DMT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, heard that quite a lot.
And what about purple?
Purple eyes are supposed to be high ascensions, so higher beings above human capability of understanding. So people like the ferryman, the three sisters of fate, people like that. If it's seen in people, it was said throughout legends and mythology that people with purple eyes are supposed to be immortal.
Interesting. I know that garments worn, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the old days, purple garments were sought after, and it was a sign of you were high up there, you know, like in the Catholic Church or in different orders. And I think, have you heard that before? Purple?
Yeah, purple was one of the rarest colours to be made.
Sure.
It was reserved for people of ridiculously hands, like emperors and high members of like the church and stuff, isn't it, pretty much?
Yeah.
And then over here, the blue beads, you know, like beads that were blue in color, were sought after by native people. So like the early fur trappers and folks that were exploring and moving into this area, they would bring blue glass beads with them, and they could trade for anything. So the color blue, the blue eyes, is another reference to those blue beads in this area, blue beads. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, blue. The thing with the ancient world is it's going to sound really, really weird to everyone. But blue in the ancient world was not on our visual spectrum. We couldn't see blue. Egyptians, although they used blue, they couldn't actually see the color properly.
I've never heard that before. Explain that a little further.
It's to do with the light. You know, obviously you get the light scale of how light folds out. So when you're looking at a rainbow, you get all the different colors.
Yeah.
One of the main colors inside of a rainbow that you don't get is blue. But we have a blue sky. So it's weird. We didn't have a color blue, even though they used blue in everything they did. They didn't have a word for the color blue.
Oh,
so blue.
I've never heard that.
So blue, as we know it, didn't exist. Which is a bit weird.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any more questions? Oh, there we go.
Got loads.
Many people believe in elves, but according to research, calling a little person an elf is a very offensive word. They prefer to be called humans.
Baby's an elf.
She's not an elf. She hasn't got a Christmas stuff on yet. Hey, yeah. Hi everyone. So I'm late. We're talking about Dad.
That's fine.
Evelyn, not right now. Evelyn, the dog's fine. She's fine.
I know we've just got.
Okay, so, right, the dog got spayed on Tuesday, so we have to be very careful with her. She's not allowed to jump. She's not allowed to run. She's all a bit tender.
Awesome.
Yeah. So back to you, Bob.
Okay. All right. So we've covered stick people. We've talked about shadow people. I talked about my relative who lives in Spokane, who has something going on in her house. Now I'm going to talk about a recent event earlier this year. I know that on a previous show, I think you showed a video of this, but I want to revisit this story because it's very interesting. I want to see what people think of it. So my father passed away on March 10th, 2022. And around that time and around the very first day of spring, my wife and I woke up at 12:03 a.m. in a certain bedroom in our house here. And I basically thought we were being robbed. I thought someone had broken into the house, and I was ready to get up, and my adrenaline was pumping and my heart was just racing because I saw lights in the room. I saw lights. I saw movement. I thought someone was in the room that had broken in. And so basically my wife, she patted my chest. She goes, shh, 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 shh. She was wide awake. She saw it too. What we saw was out from the window to our left, there was this kind of beam of light that went across, and it looked below it almost like Aurora Borealis, this red curtain. And I mean, I was in shock. We were both in shock. We're just looking at this thing. And then right behind what you'd call the veil, I guess you'd say, this membrane of light, I could see, and we could see these little people. So this is, again, another little people story. We could see these little people, and they turned for a second. I could just see just a glimpse of the eyes and the kind of the mouth and the teeth. And they walked to our right. And then about, a minute or two, maybe 3 minutes, maybe. It may seem longer than it actually was. All of that material went to the right into a ball of light and then vanished. And so that was one of the strangest things. It was 12:03 a.m. I know I mentioned it to you folks, behind the scenes. I asked you what you thought it was, but I would love to hear you now publicly on this show, maybe elaborate what you think it could have been. And then I will tell you what I found out about that event.
See, we were on about it for a while. Can you remember? Yeah. We had it down as a few things. Eventually, I got a friend of mine to look into a theory that I had. And the grounds, I think I ended up telling you as well, that we thought it was a split in the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Like a physical split in the veil between these two worlds, and what you were seeing. You were looking very much straight into it there, where you had the two interactions, but you were seeing straight through sort of one of the main interactions. That kind of explains a bit.
Yeah. No, it definitely felt like that. What I think happened is that my dad passed away, so he's on the other side, and I love telling stories and folk tales about, just like I'm doing today, is something I love to do. And I take it seriously, like the little people stories, the shadow people, Sasquatch, cryptids. So I believe that my dad was saying, hey, I'm going to show you something.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you something and validate, because now he's on the other side. He can do that. And he wanted to validate and show us that what we were talking about is absolutely real. He wanted to help bring that about. That's one theory. I like that theory. It's very comforting. So I was very close to my dad. So that's pretty cool. What do you think?
I think that's actually quite a good theory, to be honest. I've known it happen before.
All right.
I've dealt with a few cases where that's happened before, a long, long time ago.
And
when parents come back and they open a small split to say, look, this is what the world is actually like.
Very
so
good.
I'd put more stock in your theory.
I like it.
It was your dad that came back and went, look, here's your evidence kind of thing.
Cool. He's been around a lot lately, and I don't know, just yeah.
They do come back.
Mm-hmm. We were chopping wood, I don't know, about a week ago, and because we have a wood stove at our house here. And so while we were chopping wood, my dad would have been there helping us if he was alive. One of the log rounds started wiggling up like someone was pulling it up, getting it ready to chop in half, to make firewood. And we watched this thing just wiggle up out of the pile. And each log round, I mean, it could be 100 pounds, It's not like gravity would defy gravity on its own. So that was kind of neat. I was like, oh, hey, Dad, how are you doing, Dad? Either that or we have a little person in the wood pile. I don't know. Either that or, that was kind of fun. And I was comforted by that. The other thing, my dad, we were talking about plans for the day, and suddenly I heard footsteps coming in the door here. And then the door of the bedroom just opened up. And it was like he was coming in to join us and talk to us. And we were planning out our events for the week and that kind of thing. That was really neat. And then the final thing I wanted to share with you, it could be my dad or it could be little people. It could be my little helpers. I don't know. The other thing that happened is we had our car loaded up with equipment. We were going off to a performance, a recital. I've got a bunch of students. A lot of them are children. And we did a presentation where they played the violin and they played guitar. And it was just a wonderful recital. But I remember we were in an intersection in Snoqualmie. This is near where that gentleman heard the tapping on top of his ceiling. And I heard tapping on the back of the car, like, hey, open up the trunk. I'm ready to help you. I'm ready to unload the equipment, And my dad, again, my father, he would have, if, alive, he would be excited. He'd want to help me unload the car. He'd want to help set up the event. And so he was like, hey, he was tapping on the back window, or that was kind of neat. So those are some new events that have just happened recently. I just wanted to share that.
That's pretty cool, those.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Rob. We're just going to catch up with comments again because they're running away. Jacko, quick one, Ben. Any update on your folks in Ireland with the Druids? Jacko, I'll message you about that. I'm not allowed to discuss it on air, so I'll have to message you. Jess, could be down to the, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that word.
Evolution?
Oh, it might be, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to look at a small word again. Evolution of, as the eyes are made up of 3 cones and 2 lines. Dogs only have 2 cones in their eyes. Cones. Sorry, I'm trying to read the small print and it's failing.
Let's try and make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bigger on here.
Eye cones. So maybe we start with 2 cones like dogs. Yeah, there is that possibility that the eyes change because obviously you look down the path of evolution. As the human body evolves, everything has changed. If anyone wants to see evidence of this, just a quick one, completely off subject. You look at your small finger and you slot your phone in it, you'll notice that your finger has actually grown around the bottom of your phone. This is a new evolutionary trait for holding your phone perfect. People have not noticed this. It's actually been brought up in a Cambridge medical report.
Confused Evelyn, just trying to figure out how to hold a phone with a little finger.
It's weird. It's literally a little groove. I don't know if you can see it on here, but you can see where my finger is here. This little groove here.
And you spend too much time on your phone.
Well, I do at work, don't I, for bloody sat navs and stuff. But yeah, bit random there for you.
Aliens.
So sorry to oh. Thank you, Kate. Yeah, appreciate that.
And Kate's a friend of ours. She's moving from Germany to Chicago soon, so she'll be on your side of the pond.
Oh, cool.
How do you feel while having the experience?
Oh, with the little people in our room? So at first it was shock, definitely fear, because we thought there was something wrong. But then after the fact, it was kind of exhilaration. So I was excited because we just experienced something so miraculous and so amazing. And so I was more excited and exhilarated after the fact, right after the fact. But I was fearful at first.
And then going on, do you think these little people could be interdimensional?
Yes. So that corner of the room has been said to be kind of an opening.
Yeah.
So.
I remember us talking about something like that a while before, one we was on about
yeah.
possibly an opening. We've got comments from Kate. I think your dad was there too.
Oh yeah.
Are you from Midwest?
No, I'm from the Pacific Northwest, 100%.
That's Colorado Mountain Way, isn't it? Sort of what Washington State, aren't you? Colorado Mountains.
Yeah, Washington State is the Cascade Mountain Range. Yeah,
Cascade. Not.
Yep.
My geography is terrible when it comes to America.
Oh, that's all right. All good. Right on.
Yeah. Yes, with possibly why we couldn't see blue. Yeah, there is quite a few theories on it. And Jacko, there's little people the same as elves and dwarfs in Nordic culture. Yes, they are same as Nordic culture. Like we said at the beginning, obviously, I know you joined us later on, Jacko. They are little people in absolutely every single region in the world talk about these theories.
Yep.
Do you have a mirror in your room, perhaps?
Yes, there was a mirror at the end of our bed. Yep.
Talking about mirror portals. And Kate, finally, I'm
Awesome, thank you. I'm not so good at American accents yet. Hopefully we'll get used to it.
Okay.
Bob's actually got quite a professional, clean American accent.
My accent is very professional and clean. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people say people from Seattle have like no accent. I don't know what that necessarily means, but yeah, just I definitely have a Seattle accent, I think. Yeah.
Coming from someone who spent time in New York, you've got a very nice, clean American accent.
All right.
You can understand what you say.
Good. Wonderful, wonderful.
Someone's just pooped on screen.
Yeah. So, and then we've got Jack. I know there is a difference between elves and dark elves. I guess the name speaks for itself. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, light and dark and everything. So, back to you, Bob.
Yeah, I just thought of a funny memory. So right where I'm sitting, this bench, I've had a lot of family that have sat in this bench. And so we had visitors from Ireland. We have cousins near Belfast, Ireland. Speaking of, I do have some Irish relatives. And when I was a kid, this gentleman came over. It was a distant cousin of mine, but he sat in this exact spot. And the town that they're from is a Catholic town surrounded by Protestant towns. So you can imagine the tension there, as you know the history. And I remember as a little kid, I was just sitting there, and this guy with the thickest brogue, he was going on and on about bottles and binkies and nipples, and he was saying that mothers shouldn't use fake tits; they need to use their real breasts, and the Catholic Church doesn't like binkies and bottles. And I was like, what the hell? And I was sitting there listening to this guy, and he was just ranting, getting angry. And, this is when I was like 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, somewhere around there. And then later, doing the research and knowing the history, I'm like, oh, okay, that's where he's from. Okay, I get it. But it's just a weird memory that just popped in my head. This thick Irish brogue, Belfast, Northern Irish accent, my cousin, distant cousin, ranting about babies, bottles, and nipples. There you go. I don't know why I told you that, guys, but there you go. Enjoy.
There you go, guys. So,
it was good.
Once I just thinking of why we maybe couldn't see blue, because it's just been because it's God, my ability to read.
Just thinking of why we maybe could not see blue. Could it just be because it is more as a descriptive word as opposed to being a colour? Blue, just a way of describing what they see.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Same like blue eyes. Every single person that has blue eyes is related. Every single person that has blue eyes is related.
Mama, you're not my mother. I can't believe you're not my mother. I am your mother. I remember the birth vividly.
I've started something there.
I'm adopted.
You're basically a mutant. Right?
That doesn't sound any better.
But it's the truth. People with blue eyes is a rare mutation and it's been passed down. And you can track the lineage of blue eyed people. The DNA lineage always goes back to just one person. Just a bit of random
What's wrong with mother?
rubbish there for you guys.
There you go.
Is everything wrong with your
Everyone
life?
say
This
hello.
one.
There's nothing wrong.
Like,
Jacko, lovely comments.
Lovely nipple. All right. All right.
So, do you want to do your competition time?
yeah, we can
Yeah.
do. Might as
Drop
well.
Lou.
Let's do the festive competition, shall we?
Over
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, so like I said last Sunday, every week in December, in the run up to Christmas, we will be doing a giveaway. Because, you know, everyone likes a giveaway. Yay. Show enthusiasm. Yay. There we go. Okay. So I did say I would do it yesterday, the divination show, but due to StreamYard, that didn't happen. So we're going to do it now. So we've got a prize, and
It's not a puppy, unfortunately, guys.
No, you don't
We
get a
want to keep
puppy.
after our puppies.
no, well, it's kind of like two prizes because each competition winner will also get. I haven't got one with me. A Todd. No, I've tidied them away. Which is a little ghost key ring. It says Todd on his chest for the other dimension.
And we get a small cuddly toy, basically.
It's a
Nice.
key ring. So this week's competition prize is the little book of chakras.
All right.
Nice little book. Evelyn's just choking and dying. And you've done. Yeah. So nice little book here. Nice size, not too big, easy to read.
Unless you're
Contents.
me and I can't read anything at the minute because my brain's just gone. Yeah.
So you've got your introduction, you've got what are chakras, it goes through the different chakras. You've got your root, your sacral, your solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, and then other chakras. Then a conclusion, and it's got a list of suggested further reading. But yeah, it's nice. It's not too
Handy little book.
yeah.
It's a handy little book to
Got a
have.
couple of little yoga poses in there as well.
Nice.
Little things like little quotes. If you doubt yourself, then indeed you stand on shaky ground. Yeah, it's just nice, simple to read. Nothing like too crazy in depth, but if you want to go further into it, like I say, it's got your further reading. So,
How are we going to win it?
how are you going to win it? Right, we're going to hope that Facebook works, or Facebook and StreamYard and everything else in between. So, if you want to have a go at winning it, what I want you to do, if you can, is on the pictures.
Look at me.
Right, I'm hoping this works. So, on your pictures, just find like a little snowman.
Bob's gearing himself up for the competition.
Find like a little snowman picture or something to do with winter and snow and that kind of thing, and just pop it in the comments. Or if you can't find any pictures, just write snowball. And then I'm going to close my eyes and poke on the screen. Do a wheel spinner. Spin a wheel. You can get them online. And then I've not got a wheel spinner because then I'd have to write down everybody's name, put it onto another program, and do that.
So, for those of you who are watching, if you can find either a snowball,
Snowman
snowman,
picture, pop it in the comments to win.
and Lou will randomly pick. So,
Oh.
good luck.
Come on, technology.
And if not, everyone can win a cookie at some point.
When it's closing time, it's now. It's live, Kate. Now.
No, yeah, go.
Go,
End of the
go.
show. She failed to do this at the beginning of the show.
Oh, I didn't fail to do anything at the beginning of the show.
No, but if you mentioned this at the beginning of the show, it would help out a bit more.
Yeah, but Kate's just translate anyway.
Good point. Okay. I stand corrected.
You sound corrected.
So,
Right. what I'm going to do is, you just move it up and down a little bit, and I will.
I've got to.
Yeah. Well, I've got to,
people are still firing them in.
enter as many times as you want. I'm just going to go and press on the screen. Right, who have I pressed on?
Yes.
Snow. Looks like a snowman, a snowflake.
Oh, there we go.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes, is that a snow cube? Oh, snowflake.
and snowman.
Yeah.
Yay! First winner.
There you are. Jacko, you're just like posting loads of snowflakes now. Yeah, so
there we go. We've got first winner. Competition will be running again next week. I will put a post up on.
Oh, Bob, that's just cheating.
Snow. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, no, King, sweetie.
So there we are.
Yeah, I'll put up another post next week saying which show it'll be in.
Yep.
There we go.
Congrats, Jessica. Oh, I'm good.
There you go.
It worked.
People from work, why do you text me?
The UK needs snow.
Yes, we do need to. Hopefully, it's coming soon in December.
Awesome, thank you. I know, well, you've won this.
Bless you, yes, you won something there. So, any last questions from Bob? Bob, anything you want to put across?
Well, I can tell more embarrassing stories or anything that you might want to know. Just ask away. Ask a very personal, embarrassing question and see if I can answer it.
Any questions for Bob, guys? Fire them up as well. I will take this time to also say Bob has a YouTube channel. We've put the link below this live, I believe. I think I put it up.
Have you?
I may not have. I will double check. But go subscribe to Bob's YouTube channel. Honestly, guys, he's been a friend of the show since the beginning. Can't stress enough how much of a legend he is around here at the other dimension. So if we can go and support him on his YouTube channel, it'll be brilliant. So Jacko. Jacko?
Well, I told a few stories already, but how about you folks? Maybe share some of your experiences during investigations where you saw a little person or something like that.
Yeah, guys, honestly, we've been saying this for a while. If you want to get your stories up, feel free to put them up. Or even if you email us, we can even get you on the show to talk about your stories.
Message, not email.
Oh, yeah, message. Sorry.
Email.
Show my age.
Well,
say, I want to email the show.
Email address. Has the show even got an email address? No.
It hasn't.
Just messages on.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see how you get everyone's stories on, and that'll build a nice collection of people's stories.
You put it on the group, you not put it on page. I'll share it to the page as well.
Lou's going to share Bob's YouTube channel to the page now, guys. Honestly, go help him out, go support him, go subscribe, and just help him get everything up.
There we go.
One from Kate.
Do you have any ghost equipment? If so, what? Okay. I'd love to answer that. Yeah, so I've got a little ghost box and I've got an EMF reader, and we use a digital recorder, and we also use just old-fashioned pen and paper. Also have dowsing rods, copper rods. We use a pendulum too. I use a plumb bob, and actually the plumb bob is so ancient, but I use a plumb bob for the pendulum. It's like a Ouija board. I can't remember what you call it, but pendulum. Maybe. Yeah, pendulum. Okay. So yeah, pendulum, dowsing rods, EMF reader, digital recorder, ghost box, spirit box, pen and paper. What else do we have? Obviously cameras, that kind of thing. We don't use Ouija boards, no. But yeah, that's pretty much the equipment we have. So over the summer, we did an investigation with the spirit box and had really, really amazing results here in town. So
nice. That's what you want. Jess, I've not long started looking into chakras. That's mint. Brilliant.
You have any pictures of little people or cryptids? Okay. I've got pictures of Bigfoot prints.
Ah,
That's one thing I do have is Bigfoot prints. And you interviewed Tristan,
yeah, I
my
want to
buddy
get
Tristan. Yeah, him and his mom are Bigfoot hunters, a mother and son duo, which is pretty cool.
need to get Tristan on again. Some of the photos and videos he had were absolutely amazing.
I don't have any
Now,
little people, just orbs and Bigfoot prints and that kind of thing. Yep.
now things are back to normal. I will get Tristan back on because when he came on, there wasn't a lot of people. I think it was sort of the wrong time we had him on.
Oh, but no, the views he had after.
Yeah,
Because I shared it out to loads of groups. We had a big people watching after, but it's not on the live.
Yeah, on the live, no, we didn't have a lot of people, but then after, people were going nuts for the video. So we're going to have to get him back on for that.
Yeah, that was good. That one.
Super cool.
We will support that. Clean.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
I want to see a real photo of any cryptids. Honestly, some of these from Tristan are brilliant photos. We'll get him on.
For sure.
Be nice to have him back on. I have never experienced anything with the Fae, little people. Yeah, cryptids for yeah. It's a bit weird over the UK. We don't really. Sorry, guys. Don't really run into. We don't really have a lot of cryptids over here.
Only people running around in ghillie suits.
Yeah, only people running around in ghillie suits.
Pretending to be them.
God, I'm sorry. What's the trouble phone?
Actually, I do have a cryptid that I can mention. That's a brand new cryptid, brand new type. You may or may not have heard of this yet. But you know, AI technology, AI, artificial intelligence. Recently, you may have read about LOAB, LOAB. Does that sound familiar?
The ghost within the system.
Yeah. Yeah, and they consider that an AI cryptid, which I think is like, what? So reading that whole story, I totally think it's possible. You know, a sentient being in the machine. Absolutely.
For those that don't know about this, basically, Google Mind created an AI system, and they've done it about 3 or 4 times now, where they've had to unplug it because it's become a bit too, shall we say, self-aware. Now, this one that is now sort of that Bob's just been on about is it's popped up in a few places, and they think it's an actual. Well, they call it a ghost of the system that exists around the whole internet, and it's becoming a very strange phenomenon. And they literally have classified it as a cryptid, the first AI cryptid. But for those of you who want an easier explanation, if you go watch an anime series called Ghost in the Shell, that explains it brilliantly. Of what this AI ghost could possibly be like. Plus, it's a brilliant film. But yeah. So that's that one.
Awesome. Traditional methods. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hi, Bob.
Oh, Ben.
Do you use this Estes method? I'm unfamiliar with that. What can you explain what that is?
The Estes method is where you're blindfolded and have earplugs in.
And then you're linked up to like a spirit box or like an app like Necrophonic, and something that's like something that you can get words through, basically.
Yeah, I haven't used that exact, but we did blindfold one of the participants. We didn't put earplugs in, but we did blindfold someone, and there was automatic writing going on in the room as well. So kind of that, but not quite exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Jacko, I watch Monster Bay on YouTube. He's a good Bigfoot hunter. Yeah, there's quite a few good ones. I'll say Tristan, though, he's just got some videos that were awesome.
Oh boy. Yeah, and we went out with him, and we've hung out and gone out in the woods together. So I do have an announcement about speaking of Bigfoot. So in April, there's going to be a conference in the town of Chehalis, Washington. And a lot of famous Bigfoot experts will be there. And there's going to be a really huge, big reveal about the subject of Bigfoot, and in particular, a very famous film that we all know from 1968. And there is some scientific evidence and some big revelations that are going to come out. I can't give it all away, but once this comes out, it's going to be heard all over the world. It's going to be a huge announcement. And it's one of the most famous controversial film clips that we all know about Sasquatch, the Patterson-Gimlin film. And so there's a gentleman coming up from Oregon. He owns a Bigfoot museum. He is going to be one of the speakers. I'm going to be one of the speakers.
Hey.
Yeah. And Roger Patterson's, I'm going to invite Roger Patterson's grandson. So Roger Patterson was the gentleman, the cowboy that was holding the camera. Okay. Bob Gimlin was off to the right. I think he had a gun. Bob Gimlin is still alive. Roger Patterson is deceased. He died in the 70s. And so we met his grandson. So we're friends with Roger Patterson's grandson. And Roger Patterson was the filmmaker, the guy that was holding the camera. So we're going to invite him again. We've been chatting with him. So he will be represented there at this event. And some big stuff coming down. So yeah, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Keep your eyes peeled on that one, guys, because we're going to try and get Bob, if he's not a big, famous star by that point, but we're going to try.
I don't want to be. Just a hair lip from North Bend, nipple biting hair lip from North Bend. Sorry.
So we get last of these
questions.
last questions. What's the deal with the demon dogs over here? Can they attack people like normal dogs? I don't know, Jacko. Demon dogs in the UK are a bit different to the ones over in America. The ones in America can actually be dogs that have just gone rabid. I think you're on about the demon dogs that are the one that attacked the church. I can't remember what year, but they're the same sort of animals. Bob, I might send you that story. Actually, you might find that interesting. A large hound attacked a church, and the scratch marks in the door are still there from the dog attack in the church.
Wow!
And it was buried in the cemetery, and then I think about 10 years ago, they actually excavated the grave and found the remains of a very large animal in the.
Wow.
So I'll get that sent over to you.
Love to hear more about that. Yep.
Oh yes, read about that the other day. That'll be again about the AI thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Love Ghost in the Shell. Classic. Yes, Kate, you've got good taste. Such a good film. Yeah,
It's not
so you don't drop the camera. Oh, okay. Sorry.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, I love that you know what Ghost in the Shell is. Ghost in the Shell's awesome. What is Tristan's surname, please? What is Tristan's last name?
Yolton. Yolton. Yolton.
Yeah.
Tristan Yolton.
Hey, we're gonna get him. We're gonna try and get him back on. Hopefully, he'll come on because some good stuff. I think Viv and Dan are going up to the conference, Ben. Oh, that's nice. Well, sounds like two of our people are going up to your conference as well. That'll be interesting. We'll tell them to come and say hello to you. Suffolk, yes, it is the Black Dog of Suffolk. Yeah. I say, Bob, I'll get that tale over to you. You'll enjoy that.
Sure.
And then just saying brilliant for when you drop the camera. So, guys, that's it. That's coming to the end of the show. Bob, thank you so much for taking some time out to come and speak to us again as normal. Always fun. It's always a privilege of having you along. Big shout out to Jess winning the first competition. Your book will, I would say, probably be in the post, but it won't. We'll come and drop it off at some point. It's easier.
Special delivery.
Yeah, special delivery. So yeah, guys. Obviously, next show is mine on Saturday, Sunday even. Hopefully my brain is engaged by that. I'm trying to think of a subject to cover, but if anyone does come with any ideas, please feel free. If not, I'm probably going to start talking about the AI ghost. One last question. Are there any incidents you know about that is true, but no one knows of it, like the black? There is a few incidents like that. I will get them. In fact, I can actually do a show on them. There's a few ones as well that people might find strange with Iran being at war with a jinn involving a police station. That was an interesting one, where 5 police were found killed and 1 jinn. So yeah, it's the only country in the world that's classified as being at war with a spiritual entity. But yeah, so hopefully that's all of that. Next one down. Thank you, Bob. Very interesting. Can you put Bob's link in the chat below? We will do. Don't you worry. Great night. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, I'll put kettle on. That's good. Thanks for a great live again. Yeah, everyone about Norfolk now. Dog, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, Bob, by the sounds of it. And Selfish, what do I look up? Look for the Iranian thing. You might not find it because once it got out, the Iranians had to clear the website of it, the internet of it. But if I can find it, I'll send it you. But yeah, Charles. Hey guys, sorry I'm late, but we've been working. That's all right, Charles. Anytime.
Just watch back.
Yeah, just watch back.
Fine. Any questions?
Yeah, as always. Hashtag filing back at us. Yeah, so guys, that's it. And we will see you all Sunday for a show on AI ghosts and possibly other incidents that have happened, but no one really believes them. But yeah, guys, that's it. So thank you again, Bob, for being on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Peace out, everybody.
And we'll see you all Saturday.
Sunday.